هاي دكتور.
هاي.
الو يا دكتور.
هاي.
طيب, good evening. Thank you for joining. 2 3 minutes. We'll start, inshallah. طيب, tell few other people to join. So if you have any questions, any recommendation, any concern about the lab, about uh, about the course, anything and everything you want to express. So please do in the upcoming 2 3 minutes. Otherwise, we'll be safe to start, inshallah. So, any questions? If no questions, so everything seems okay. طيب, as you all know, I have postponed the assignment to Saturday midnight, and whoever will submit today will receive a bonus. We will have our second assignment, inshallah, on Saturday. Uh, and as I told you in the previous lecture, our first midterm will be face to face, inshallah, so far, and it will be on the 13th of March, inshallah. Yeah. So that's it regarding the news. So, any further questions from your side?
No, doctor, thank you.
طيب, please, by the way, I don't oblige you to open the camera because you may have a private setting or however. But if you prefer to do so, I would love to see who you are. So be be free to open the camera or not to open the camera. It's your decision at the end of the day. I can't force you to do this. Today, inshallah. So please, whoever wish to join with me, please write his name in the chat window that he's willing to participate. I have already shared with you. I have already shared with you the participation sheet. So it's your responsibility to fill it in with the bonuses as well as your attendance as well. So it's shared on the chat window, and it is a shared document on Google Drive as well. So today, inshallah, we'll be having the start of the new content. It's not really very new today. It's a mix between old material and between the new material as well. So we'll start today with OOP and OOD. We'll define them again. We have defined them at the first lecture, and we'll be going to redefine them again. So, Abdurrahman, do you have something to say?
يس دكتور. كان البروست كان بعت ايميل ان هو الفيس تو فيس بارشل فيس تو فيس هيبدأ تاني من مارش 1. هل ده معناه ان احنا هننزل؟
في مارش.
When is this mail? It seems that
ولسه مبعوث دلوقتي حالا.
هو لسه واصل حالا.
just
sent يا دكتور.
Okay. Wallahi, they have the administration of the department have notified me that that a room was selected, but when I asked her, actually she didn't confirm that face-to-face will be back. So I didn't read this email, but I guess at least they're reserving the room for face-to-face, for partial face-to-face. What will happen? It was agreed before that there will be one lecture face-to-face and the other lecture will be online. Will this be the case? Will be definitely communicating with you further about this after consultation with the department chair. At least he has to say how the operation will be. So, but what we have agreed before with the department that there will be one lecture. Will this continue to be this? I'm still not sure, and inshallah within the upcoming 2-3 days things will be extremely clear. What's there? What happened is that the administrator of the department has allocated a room for your section. So please wait for a few more days and things will be crystal clear, inshallah. Yeah. But it's good news. So do you see it as good news or bad news to have to see the university for the first time in a year? Yeah, I see it. It's good news for both of us.
Of course.
Of course, because you're not coming. You didn't register in the university to have online, of course. But the situation prevails. It's a health situation at the end.
Doctor, are the exams going to be on campus?
The exam is going to. That's a fact. That's a fact. Yes, it will be on campus and it will be on the 13th of March, inshallah. Yeah. Okay.
What about the classes, doctor?
This is what I was saying. what we have agreed before that it will be face-to-face once a week, and the other one lecture and the other lecture will be online. This was agreed before. However, we'll be waiting the chairman of the department to say further introduction about this topic. Yeah. So just please wait 1 or 2 days, and things will be crystal clear. So at the end of the day, I'll be more than happy to see all of you, and then we'll spend some good time together. Yeah, inshallah. Yeah, inshallah. Okay, so we're safe to start. So for the other section, section 4, they're crying from happiness because because يعني, the online year at least will be gone. Yeah.
Yes, Doctor, بصراحة we're happy that you return to campus يعني.
Okay.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, I am happy too, yeah, Mustafa. And for me, online is not the best situation.
والله يا دكتور for all of us يعني.
Okay.
الموضوع كان صعب قوي.
طيب كويس خلاص. Anyways,
دكتور CS2 لاب بجد ده نفخ لو اونلاين يعني.
يا دكتور هو CS2 لاب ده لازم
والله
مش هينفع.
انا عندي 3 اوفر
لا
دي
ده
اساسا.
خليه اونلاين بقى يا دكتور.
والله يعني I'm not sure about the CS2 lab يعني بصراحة يعني is it going to continue online or partial face to face. I'm
طب
not
يا
sure
دكتور
about
الهيدن
it.
لاب هيبقى اونلاين ولا بارشل فيس تو فيس ولا ايه؟
we'll manage يعني just wait يعني لسه البروفست منزل الايميل يعني just wait a little bit and we'll settle everything يعني I understand your excitement يعني and I'm excited too يعني but don't be too much excited. So at least inshallah within the upcoming 1 or 2 more days things will be clear, and I'm sure that the department is very keen for your convenience يعني as well يعني. So
Doctor, I have a question regarding the participation sheet. هو مش مكتوب الديتس بتاعت الكلاسز. هو احنا
start from the first empty column. Yeah.
I mean like the first attendance ده بتاع النهارده ولا بتاع the first class ولا the first class
No بتاع النهارده
النهارده okay.
Yeah, start from today and accumulate all the bonuses you have for the first time and write them as a total number for the first time. And next class, if you have 1 bonus, then and assuming that you have 10 bonuses before, so write that you have attended today, write X and 10, and then next class, if you're there, write X and write 1. The class after, write X and write 2, and here we go. The third one, X and no bonuses. So that's it. Okay.
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 And it's like in this class مكتوب attendance bonus but it's different colors. ده بس عشان الحول ولا عشان
لا بسليكوا بس يعني مش
okay ده ماشي.
Okay. So let's start today. So as explained before, today we will start with OOD and OOP category of lectures. We will be covering some in-depth materials about classes, about objects, about relationship between objects, about inheritance, polymorphism, about templates. I know that those are new words for you. Don't worry about this. You will learn everything at due time. For today's lecture, we're going to review classes 1 and final time. Not really review because we're going to have some new concepts today. So we'll start building up the new concepts about OOD and about OOP as well, starting from today. So Where did I get this lecture from? I got it from Savage Book, chapter 10 and 11. And I got it from another book called Islam Halim. So basically, those books are available for you on Dropbox. And I got this lecture also from some online resources. So it's a mix and match from two books and online resources as well. Well, returning back to classes and their definition. So I will have some friends with me. So I will start by Mustafa Al-Aisili. So Mustafa, you with me? Mustafa, you're here or disconnected? It seems that Mustafa disconnected. So I'll start by another friend. So I will start by Ghada. So Ghada Amir.
Yes, doctor.
Yes, Ghada. So we spoke so many times about classes and objects. So in a very simple language, what's a class and what's an object from your perspective?
I think that class is the main thing or the template that contain the object.
That contain the object. Okay. Can you elaborate a little bit more, Ghada?
Like the example of the car we talked about last
Doctor, can you
lecture.
hear me?
What?
Yes. I will use you in the يعني in the other in the next
دكتور
participation.
بس أنا كل ده كنت عمال اتكلم بس في بس connection problem.
ولا يهمك. That's okay. Okay. So let's continue with Ghada and I'll come back to you.
Okay, يا دكتور.
Okay. So Ghada, can you please continue?
Yes, I said that the example of the car we talked about last lecture, that the car is the main thing or the thing that contains other things. So the car is the class and other properties of the car like its color or its type or its price are their objects.
No, not really, Ghada. You said something which is very right, thank you, in which the class is a template. So every class, Ghada, contain two things. Contain
Public and
what?
private.
Yeah, no, public and private, those are what's so-called visibility. We'll come back to them. But they contain member what and member what? Member variable and member what?
Yes, sir.
Member functions, that's great. So the class is a template. The class is a template. The class is a template. The class is a blueprint. The class is a template. The class is, if you remember, is a data type. So the class contains two things. First of all, the data variables, and the other thing is really the methods, what the class can do. So the data members are what the class is characterized by, and the data and the methods, what the class can do. So if we pick the class that is a person, so a person typically is characterized by name, age, the city, and the gender, and what the person does. Actually, he or she will eat, study, sleep, play, do whatever. So always the methods are verbs. Always the methods are verbs. They are actions. And the data members, they are the name, they are noun. The name, the age, the city, and the gender. So what's basically an object? An object is the instance of the class. What does it mean, the instance of the class? It means that each object has certain values for the data members, and each object can use one function or can use all the functions of the class. So let's see here together. If we have this example, so this is an object, it's a man. This is an object, it's the woman. And this object belongs to the class that is called, this object belongs the class to that is called person. And for this man, his name is John. His age is 35. He is located in Delhi, and his gender is email. So an object is something defined. A class is something abstract. Okay, is something abstract, something that like a category. When I am telling you you're a human being, so it's a category. When I am saying animal, it's a category. When I'm saying a dog, a category. It's something abstract. It's something mubham. Yet the object is something that is defined, something that has differentiators, something that has specific name, specific age, specific city, specific gender. Of course, a man can eat studies, a man that is named John, can eat, study, sleep, and play. And Daisy, she can eat, study, sleep, and play as well. Her age is 20 and from whatever city, and her gender is female. So once again, the class is something abstract. It's a category. When I am telling you an integer, you just understand that an integer is a whole number. It's a category. When I am telling you it's bool, it means a Boolean variable. However, when I tell you my age is an integer, then this is a variable, and an object is very similar than a variable because the object can hold values for the data members and also can use the methods of the class like eat, study, sleep, and play. Anyone doesn't understand what's the class and what's an object, just let me know now. So everyone understand what's a class and what's an object?
Mhm.
Do I have to repeat it again? Don't be shy from anything. We are all learning. Just don't be shy. Express yourself. We are all making mistakes, including myself. Yeah. So coming back to something that we have explained it in the previous time, the OOD and the OOP. The OOD is object-oriented design, while the OOP is an object-oriented programming. And we have defined OOD and OOP before, so I would like to have another friend that will help me in the definition. So I'll pick Kenzie. Kenzie, do you remember what's OOD and what's OOP?
I think OOD is about designing the program.
Yes.
And OOP is related to programming.
Yes. Can you elaborate more or you can't?
Not really, no.
Excuse me?
Not really.
Not really. Okay, so we'll remember together what's OOD and what's OOP. OOD has three words: object, oriented, design. So, three things. Object-oriented. So basically, you design into objects. You're designing objects. You're not designing functions. You're designing objects. And what's really design? I would recall what I have said in the first lecture. Design, when you want to build, when you want to have a building, to build a building, then you go to an architect engineer and tell him, I need to have a building. So he start asking you, what are your requirements? What do you want in your building? What is the style of this building? How many rooms, how many flats are there in each building? And he starts asking you about each and every flat. How many rooms will be in it? How many bathrooms? Do you want to have internet connectivity? How many ECs do you want to plug? Do you want a central AC or a separate AC for each room? Do you want what colors will be the walls, etc., etc. And then he start accumulating all those requirements. He start accumulating all those requirements, and then he starts on a computer and starts design, which means that the flat, he starts to translate what the customer wants into concrete things. He start drawing drawing rooms, start drawing bathrooms, start exactly puts where will be the electricity plugs be, start saying where will be the ACs, where will be the TV, what will be the color, etc., etc., etc. Start putting the details into a design on a paper. And then after the design is accepted by the customer, then it will go to another person who is responsible to translate the design into a real building. So, so he will get the design, and he will start executing the design till you see the building that you have dreamed for. So design is basically the in object oriented is basically knowing what will be the classes that exist in this application. What will be the relationship between classes? This is what we'll be studying in 110 as part of the design. And definitely there are further other activities in the design other than designing the class diagram. So 110 will be focusing on the class diagram. However, probably other courses will be focusing on different activities in the design. So object-oriented design is about designing the classes and the relationship between them. This is in 110. And as I said, it's much bigger than establishing a class diagram. And the class diagram is a representation of what the user wants to have this application. So if you're designing an application as a game for a Pac-Man, so you will have classes for Pac-Man, classes for a maze, classes for collision detection, classes, uh, different classes for how will the Pac-Man game look like, etc., etc., and how they are connected with each other. This is object-oriented design. And then you pick the design and you start writing the actual classes in C++. And then you start writing the actual classes in C++. This is called OOP. Of course, C++ is an object-oriented language like Java, like C#, etc., etc. However, so object-oriented programming refers to the language that are supporting object-oriented. So this is what's so called object-oriented, and this is what's so called object-oriented design, and this is what's so called object-oriented programming. Any questions so far?
Just سؤال صغير هو 110 هو الكورس بتاعنا
Called
ال 110 هو الكورس
Yes.
بتاعنا اوكي
110, yes, it's our course. That's CS Fundamentals 2, and the actual number of the course is 110.
اوكي
Okay. So any questions on OOD and OOP? Okay. And we will see actually how to do a small design today in this lecture, inshallah. Okay, so object-oriented design has many features. The classes and objects, they are part of object-oriented design. This goes without saying. And then in those upcoming 3-4 lecture, we will be studying inheritance. We will be studying in this lecture encapsulation. We'll be studying abstraction. We'll be studying polymorphism. What's encapsulation? This is coming in the upcoming slide. What's inheritance? This is a whole chapter that we will be studying, and polymorphism will be studying along with inheritance, and abstraction will be studying in 1 or 2 lectures that are coming very soon. So don't worry that you don't understand what's inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. We'll be focusing today on encapsulation. We'll be focusing today on encapsulation. So object-oriented design features, those are the good characteristics that people use classes and objects. Those are the good features. So before object-oriented, everything was into functions, like mostly 106. You write functions and you write main functions that use those functions. Okay, so this is called function-oriented. And now we study object-oriented. So there are beautiful features of object orientation. One of them is encapsulation, one of them is inheritance, abstraction, polymorphism, and definitely the classes and the object. If you don't understand what I am saying or think that it's too difficult, please interrupt me. Now we're not reviewing. This is your course material. So you got to finish the class where you understand most of the things here. Okay, so the first feature that we are going to study now is called encapsulation. And the name implies, as the name implies, encapsulation. So it comes from the word capsule. You know the capsules for the medicine. يعني ربنا يحفظكم كلكم. So encapsulation is really putting everything inside a capsule, putting everything inside a capsule. What does this mean? This means that this capsule contain all what you need to get out of illness, لا قدر الله. So encapsulation means بالعربي تحط كل حاجة في كبسولة. Means your remedy is in this capsule. And how it's related to classes, actually. It's related to classes that every class should contain the necessary attributes and the necessary functions that really describe this class. I know I am saying Chinese, so we will have an example about this, and we'll really understand what encapsulation means. So So I will go with you for designing a class about a clock. So this is a class that is called clock. Don't worry that we will not write it in typical C++. We don't care for a moment. And I will have another friend with me. I will have 2-3 friends helping me with this example. So I will have Rana, I will have Yasin, I will have Muhammad Hashish helping me with this example. Okay, so I'll start with both Rana and Hashish and Yasin, they will be helping me together in what I am saying. So we want to design the class which is clock. What should be the attributes of the class that is called clock?
Hours or minutes and seconds, if it's going
Okay. Hours, minutes, and second. What else? Yasin, do you want to add?
We can have methods.
No. We still didn't finish the attributes.
Can we consider العقارب ك
yes. طيب, I'll ask you one question, Muhammad. For this class, no, it's clarification. For this class, I am caring not about the clock manufacturing. I am just caring about the clock functionality. So you should ask yourself, for every class you do, what will be the functionality of the class? So the functionality of this class is to describe a clock and its functionality. I don't care about the material. I don't care about العقارب. I don't care about the engine. So just
can I use date مثلا?
Excuse me?
ممكن استخدم الديت؟
What do you mean by date?
عادي ممكن يكون في clock بتقول الديت
date
الديت.
Okay, فهمت. What else? Yasin?
Do we need like a ticker maybe?
Ticker? What do you mean by ticker?
Like something that keeps track that the clock is moving at regular intervals? Or depends on how this class is going to be implemented?
Well, elaborate.
I was just thinking like some variable to keep track that the clock is moving and
so the clock is working, yes?
Yeah, so.
Okay, so we'll have working or not. What else?
Can be like a bool if it's a digital or a digital clock or a clock.
Yes. Digital or analog. What else? Everyone thinks.
If it displays time in like the 24, I don't know what's name, 12. Like
Mode.
14 or not.
Mode. What else? Yalla, think. Everyone thinks.
Can we add something like alarm مثلا?
Alarm, yes. Everyone thinks.
Timer.
PM or EM.
It's on the hours in the minute. We don't need this.
I think we can have date format or time format.
Time format. Yes, that's fine, Mustafa. What else?
Theme or background.
Theme. What do you mean by theme?
Like
this is in case it's digital. There's a theme, but we don't assume that it's digital.
ممكن milliseconds?
No, يعني مش لازم.
precise قوي يعني.
لا انت too precise.
ممكن language مثلا؟
Language, okay.
ممكن the day كمان إذا Sunday Monday كده.
نعم.
Day مش date.
Date, we have
لا
date.
لا days Sunday or Monday or Tuesday.
Days, but it's in the date, so we don't need it.
Doctor, what is the difference between mood and time format?
Mood and what?
Time format.
It's like 11, 12, and then it maybe the time format is 24 hours, like 23, that's 11 p.m. or 23. So this is the time format, yeah.
So they
What
are the
else?
same thing?
Excuse me? No, the mood, I don't recall the mood actually. Someone said it, but I don't recall it. Yeah.
The
I
mood
meant the
was
same thing as time format.
Okay,
No,
so we'll remove it. Okay, so okay. What else?
I think for the mode and time format, the mode is 12 hours or 24 hours. But
Yes.
the time format, something like hours, minutes, seconds, or hours, minutes only.
Okay. So like 00. Okay, fine. It's okay. What else?
Can have
حاجة زي
also
مثلا ستوب
ringtones.
ووتش أو
Stopwatch. It's a timer.
تايمر.
Okay, that's fine.
well, also timer is different than stopwatch, and stopwatch with time remote.
Okay, fine. Whatever. Okay. Are you satisfied with those attributes? Okay. Let's go back to Ana, Yusuf, and Hashish.
Location,
So,
maybe.
The what?
Location, maybe the clock has different times like around the world.
Time zones. Huh?
Time zone. Yes. That's fine. Yes. Okay. So what will be the functionality of the clock? Ignore the getters and setters. They are not important for now.
Displays hours. No.
Display. Time.
adjust the time.
What do you mean by adjust the time?
إن أنا أغير الوقت edit الوقت لو في حاجة لو هو غلط.
Yes. Adjust time. ممتاز.
دكتور حضرتك كاتب دي بلاي فشنو هتستخدمه؟
اوكي حبيبي. اوكي.
ممكن نحط اللي هي select time zone. هي adjust time مش عارف.
اوكي. لا select time zone is different.
ممكن برضه بول اللي هي digital or analog.
Okay. What were you saying? Sorry.
Set date.
لا there was one day. Okay, set timer. Kenzie is setting set timer. Okay. We can say also increment minutes, which is
add alarm.
Add alarm.
Delete alarm.
That's enough. Okay. So what I did with you, this lovely exercise, is actually very healthy. Why? Because when you're designing the application, you start designing classes, and you will be thinking what each class attributes and methods should will it contain. So one question, you went too far. So you were very creative, very innovative, and يعني very clever, mashallah. So now you put everything in one class. So I'm just telling you that the clock is a simple clock. So do you think that that we have to isolate some attributes and functions into other classes? Just let me say. So I'll come to some people that said few things, and then I will tell you what do I mean. So so before I do this encapsulation, and I return back to this definition again and again. Encapsulation means putting the real fit, the exact fit for the attributes and for the functions. It doesn't mean getting everything about the clocks and put it in one class. It means that you have to know what the clock should do, the simple clock. The simple clock will have hours, minutes, and seconds. It will display time and adjust time, increment minutes, increment hours. Every other thing that you have thought of is related to clock, is related to a clock application. But it's not necessarily to be a part of the clock class. So you should be always thinking, what will be a part of the clock class? What will be a part of the clock class? What will be away from the clock class? So who's saying alarm? Who was saying alarm is an attribute?
Me.
Ahmed. So
Okay.
I think we can make another class called alarm. Yes?
Okay.
Yes. Who said about timer?
في الغالب أنا برضه.
Time. Okay. Then it can be another class as well. Who said the time zone? Someone said the time zone.
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. Do you think, Yasin, that time zone can be in another class?
Yes.
It can be in another class. So stay with me. So we said alarm in another class. Do you think who said the digital and analog? So I'm talking about the clock functionality. Having a digital clock is another class, definitely. And having an analog clock is a different class. And
So-
those classes are derived, they are children of the clock. And this is something that we're going to take later on, that is called inheritance. Okay, so let's move away. Let's move away. Let's move away. What are the other classes that could be created? So we're talking about an alarm. We're talking about the language. The language, it can be part of the clock. Actually, it can be in a different class. So this is a whole design. You should be thinking, what will be in the class that is called clock? What could be away in other classes? And then you make up a relationship between those classes together. This is called a class diagram. This is called a class diagram. So clock, it can display the time. Yes, you can adjust the time. Adjust the time. You can add you can increment the minute, increment the hour, increment the second. That's fine. Alarm is another class, definitely. Timer is another class. Date is another class, but it's related to clock. And in this chapter, inshallah, we will be talking about classes and their relationship together, and classes and their relationship with other classes, that in the term that they could be the children of other classes. So clock, a simple clock. A digital is another thing, but it's related to a clock. An analog clock is similar to a clock, but it's the children of the concept of the clock. So we'll be taking this in more details. Coming back to encapsulation. Encapsulation means putting not the minimum, the suitable, and I repeat, the suitable function and the suitable methods inside the class. And it is a creative job. It is a creative job. Selecting what to be out of the class in another class, selecting what to be inside this class. And inshallah, in your project, you will be learning this in a good way, inshallah, to select what your application will contain of classes and what the relationship. So again, encapsulation, putting the suitable attributes and the suitable functions in the class. Don't do too little and don't do too much. So too much is not right and too little is not right. Encapsulation means putting what you need for this class in it. and don't let another person come to you and tell you, oh, you forgot that in this class you forgot so and so. So the benefits of encapsulation, it's definitely data hiding. So assuming that Rana is making a class called the clock, and Yasin will be using the class that is called clock, what will happen? Yasin will not know how Rana was implemented the class. He will be using the functions of the class without using the actual details. This is called data hiding, information hiding. And if Rana decides to change the C++ code of certain function, this will be transparent from Yasin. As far as Yasin is using this function, خلاص, that's it. Let Rana do whatever she wants to do. This is called implementation interdependence. Means that the implementation is related to whoever created the class. You are using the class, you shouldn't care about how Rana was implementing the class. Okay. Let's move ahead. So this was a designing a class, and we applied the feature of encapsulation, or sometimes it's called data hiding. Then we're having an implementation, and this is OOP. Then we translate the design of the clock into C++. So basically the clock that we were designing, actually contains set time, get time, increment, second, minutes, and hour. And this is an optional also function to make two clocks equal to each other. We will have this in a while. So we talked in the previous lecture, or the one before, about public and private. So someone tells me what's private, what's public?
They're access modifiers.
They're access modifiers, and sometimes they are called visibility. So they're access modifiers. What's meant by access modifiers, Yasin?
They're basically keywords that give some sort of accessibility of
Yes.
members, variables, and member functions inside. So they could either be accessible by the programmer or not.
Okay, that's great, and that's fine. So we talked about public. Public, as Yasin was saying, probably in a very formal language, public means that from the main function, all the objects that belong to the class that is called clock can access the public members, whether functions or variables, that the class is offering. So in this example, if you have inside your main, if you have clock type X, or let's say Rana clock, this is an object related to the class that is called clock type. So Rana clock can access all the public functions and or the public variables. So let's see how it. So Rana can access the public. So it means that all those functions are accessible by Rana clock. So I can say Rana clock dot set time. I can do this. But if I say Rana clock dot hour dot HR, I cannot do this. Why? Because HR is a private is a private member. It's not public. So public means that any objects that belong to this class can access the public attributes and or the public functions. Private, protected, we will have it in greater details when we study inheritance. So not for now. Private means that those variables or methods, those variables and or methods, they cannot be accessed except from within the functions of the class itself, except from within the functions of the class itself. What does this mean? This means that I have a function called setTime, and from within setTime, assuming that I have a function here called checkDate. So from within the function which is called setTime, I can call checkDate, assuming that checkDate is a private function. So I can call it from another function that exists in the class, but I cannot call it from the main. I cannot calling it from the objects that belong to this class. Why? Because it's private. So it's private. This is something that's private to you. So as if there's something that is very private in your home and you don't let your friends or even your brothers and sisters to look at it, to use it, because it's very private to you. This is what's called private. So, but public means that from the main, all the objects that belong to this class, or even from the function inside this class, they can access those functions. So ANA.setTime is fine. ANA.clock.getTime is fine. ANA.clock.increment second is fine. ANA.clock.increment minutes is fine. .increment hours is fine. ANA.clock.equal-time is fine. But ANA.clock.hr.minutes.seconds, it's not fine because they are private attributes of the class. So this is public and this is private. Anyone doesn't understand public or private? I can repeat. We have nothing in our life but finishing this course. So I can repeat whatever you want. Okay? By the way, I have a piece of advice for you in this course. We're starting very slow. And at some point in time, we can't keep this pace. So, Habibi, unless you study lecture by lecture from now, trust your friend. Things will not work at the end. Okay, it's not 106. It's not CS1. Things are really a lot starting after after 2-3 weeks. You will have so many information passing. Okay, so I'm trying to motivate you by the bonus, yet you have to study, and from this lecture, trust me, the course of this pace, the pace of this course is really quick. So please help me to help you. Okay, so after you define the clock, Wilkins, I can repeat it for you because I repeat it 2 times. I can repeat it to you after the lecture, inshallah. So we study public, protected, and private. So then what we have to do after designing in the class? You have to implement the class and implement the functions of the class. And this is the implementation of the function of the class. And the implementation is really writing the class header, which is this one. This is called a class header. This is called a class description. This is called a class header, in which you write the functions and in which you write the attributes as private and the function as public, So now you have to implement, to write in C++. In C++, the implementation, the coding part for the function. So I'm just reminding you that this is the header of the function, and this function called setTime, and and it belongs to class which is clock type. It doesn't return anything, it returns a void, and those are the columns, which means that setTime belongs to a class that is called clock type, and this is the implementation. We'll stop at one function and then continue. So we'll stop at one function. This is a function that has something that I want to remind you with. So I'll have, it's open for all of you. Let's concentrate on this function. This function is calling by value or calling by reference?
By reference.
By reference.
Why? Because we have our lovely friend, which is the AND function, which is the AND, not the AND function, the AND symbol. We have int and hours and minutes. So can anyone tell me what's called by reference, what's called by value?
Yes, call by value, it's like we are dealing with the value of a specific variable. If we have x equal 5, we are dealing with the 5 without changing the value of the x. But by reference is changing the variable itself. So if we have x equal 5 and inside the function we set x equals 6, so the real x or the main x turns into 6 instead of 5.
You're saying something that 90% correct and 10% is.
We use passing by reference to change the the thing that the variable stores without returning something.
So
yes, this is another thing that is added. Yes, continue.
When we have a function and we call by value, a copy of that variable is passed into the formal parameter of the function to be used in that function. Whereas in a call by reference, the variable itself is passed as we are passing the address of the variable itself.
Yes, which means that there are one memory location or two memory locations, Yasin?
So in calling by reference, there's actually one memory location. So whatever
Actually, one memory location. That's perfect. That's perfect. So thank you, Yasin. Thank you, Mustafa, and thank you, Muhammad, as well. So call by value, you're calling a function. You're calling a function from the main, assuming that we don't have those and friends here. And you're calling this function, which is get time from the main. So get time, you pass to it x, y, and z. So call by value means that this function, assuming that it's returning an integer, for example. So x, y, and z, you are passing x to the function. So x is the same as hours. Y is the same as minutes, and Z is the same as second. So this is called by value. What does it mean? It means that x, if you change inside the function hours, minutes, and seconds, this doesn't mean anything to x, y, and z. Why? Because both of them are in different memory locations. Both of them are in different memory locations. So a copy of x will be hours, a copy of y will be minutes, a copy of z will be seconds. So بالعربي كده الكومبايلر بيعمل copies x بقى حاجة ليها شبيهة أخرى اللي هي hours، y بقى ليها شبيهة أخرى minutes. غير في hours وغير في minutes وغير في seconds، مالهمش دعوة ب x, y and z. So this is called by value. Call by reference means that x, y, and z and hours, minutes, and seconds variables, they all in one memory location. If you change inside the functions hour, minutes, and seconds, this means x, y, and z will be changed as well. This is called by reference. So always remember, call by reference is two memory location, a variable and copy of it. Call by value, two memory locations and a variable and a copy from it. Call by reference, one memory location. So if you change x, hours, x will be changed. So it's the exact one location. So this is called by value, this is called by reference. So I will remind you of something else, that when you declare an object, that belongs to certain class, what happens by the compiler? What will happen? Will create in memory, in a piece of memory, and call it by the name of the object. What will be inside this piece of memory? Inside this piece of memory, there will be the values for the attributes of the class, and it will store some information about the functions that belong to this class. Forget about the functions that belong to this class. There will be a location in memory contains the attributes of the class and their values. So let's see an example about this. So clock type, this is the name of our class. My clock is an object that's related to our class. Your clock is an object that is related to our class called clock. So we have two objects. One is my clock and the other is your clock. Okay, so what will happen after the compiler do this? What will happen actually, that the compiler will create in memory a chunk and tell this chunk that you are my clock, and another chunk of memory and that's your clock. And for my clock, I am calling a function that is called setTime 3, 4, and 20. What will happen? It will happen that the value of the hour, the attribute of the class will be 3. The attributes of the class, which is the minutes, will be equal to 4. The attributes of the class, the second, will be equal to 20. What does this mean? This means that the actual values for the attributes of the class will be set to 3, 4, and 20 inside memory. And then we have what's so-called an assignment operator. And what's an assignment operator? An assignment operator will make the attributes of this object called your clock is equal to that object which is called my clock. So my clock hour will be equal to 3. After this equal sign, so your clock hour will be equal to 3. Your clock minutes will be equal to 4. Your clock seconds will be equal to 20. So the attributes here will be the attributes of my clock. The values, I mean, of the attributes of your clock will be the same as the values of the attributes of my clock. So hours equal 3, hours equal 3, minutes equal 4, minutes equal 4, seconds equal 20, and seconds equal 20, as if you're creating a copy from the object to be your clock. So once again, the equal sign, it means that the attributes values of certain object will be the same for the other object, will be the same for the other object. Pause 10 seconds and then we continue if you have any question. Okay, so coming into UML. UML is a unified modeling language. So it has 3 words. Unified means everyone in the world will use UML in the same way. It has a standard notation. It has a standard notation. It has a standard notation. So Anna will not write UML in Egypt different than her friend Freddy in Spain. So it has a standard language. Modeling means it's a language of a design. You model something. You model something. You design something. Language because it has a language. It has a visual syntax. It has a visual syntax and will be saying. So UML is a unified modeling language and it contains many diagrams, and one of those diagrams is a class diagram. It contains a deployment diagram, it contains a use case diagram, it contains the object diagram. I think there's a course at least when I was in computer science, I studied this course and we designed a lot of diagrams in UML. I guess it was in my senior year. I'm not sure. I think it exists till now. Anyways, in this course, we will be studying part of UML, which is designing classes and the relationship between each other. That is called a class diagram. That is called a class diagram. Type.
So class diagrams are examples of UMNs?
One type of design using UML. Not example, yeah. One type.
Okay.
So it has other kind of diagrams, yeah, Adham. It has use case diagrams. And for example, use case diagrams are used when you are getting what the customer wants. So you are a business analyst, you are working in a company, and you are a business analyst. What does the business analyst do? He goes to a customer and he tells the customer, what do you dream of? So he starts to say, I want to build an application for managing my supermarket. So he start digging deeper with him. The supermarket will be focusing on what products, and then the supermarket, it means an application. What do you want to have in this application? So he tells the business analyst, I want to have the payments, I want to have so and so, I want you can order products online, etc., etc. So so this is what the business analyst is doing. He or she goes to the customer and gets the requirements of the customer. And actually, he or she, the business analyst or the system analyst sometimes, he or she uses UML to describe what the customer wants. And later on, you come as Adham, you are the designer, so you simply take the user requirement and start to build the class diagram. And then it comes Anna and takes this class diagram and transform it to C++, etc., etc. So this is basically, and there are so many other design things in UML. So we're concentrating finally on class diagram. Okay, Adham?
Okay.
Okay. So coming back to UML, UML is a visual language, which means that you design classes visually, and I want you, and I will send this in our group. There's an online UML designer. It's called GenMyModel, GAN and model.com, and I will send it to you. You have this is an online and a really powerful tool for designing in UML. It can design class diagram, as you say here. It can design component diagram, deployment diagram, object diagram, use case diagram. It can design anything and everything in UML. We're concentrating in this course about class diagram. And what is a class diagram? It's basically set of classes and the relationship between each other. Of course, I will teach you how to use UML. Of course, there are some lots of applications actually for designing in UML. There are what's called Diagonal, there are what's called Argo UML, but I made the research, and then the easiest one I found is GenMyModel. It's online. You don't have to pay anything. It's free totally, and it's very user friendly and very good actually. So you're going to use GenMyModel. You're free to use whatever you want, and even if you know Visio, also you can use UML, but Visio is not a free software. GenMyModel is a free software. Anyways, coming back, so coming back, as you can see, this is our famous class, which is named clock, and you can see that the name of the class is you can see that the class is a rectangle. So this is basically the clock. This is the name of the class. So I write it in another thing. This is the name of the class. So it's called clock. If you want another class, so you just drag and drop. This is not a session for teaching you how to use GenMyModel, but I will do. So this is another class called student. So this is the class that is called student. As you can see, the student here is the first small rectangle here. The second row.
Doctor, I think you're showing us something, but it's not appearing on screen.
Really؟
هو
والله أشكرك إنك قلت لي يا.
هو احنا على الباوربوينت أيوه.
أنت على الباوربوينت أوكي تمام.
Okay, you're showing us على make my اللي هو بتاع
GenMyModel. Now you see it?
Yes.
Oh no, yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry يا
أول
جماعة.
بقى معلش بقى.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is GenMyModel, and this is the class. So basically, this is the rectangle, and this is basically the name of the class, and those are basically the attributes, and those are basically the operation. Let's dig a little bit deeper. First, you have to understand one important thing. UML is language independent. So as I am telling you, UML is an object-oriented design. So you design visually, and someone will take this design and transfer it to C++. This is called object-oriented programming. So this is one class, and this is another class. The name of the class is the first rectangle. Then the second rectangle is actually the attributes of the class. The third rectangle is for the operation. So let's see briefly how this is happening. So so I'm going back to my so you see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
You see the PowerPoint, yes? You see the
Yes, sir.
PowerPoint,
Yes,
yes?
yes,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
class notation.
Yes. So this is the name of the class. Those are the names of the attributes. And this plus means public. And minus means private. So this is the attribute name. And this is the attribute type. So integer, for example, is written as integer. Boolean is written as Boolean. String is written as string. You will see all in Gen model. So how do we write a private member variable? You write minus and age and then integer. Okay. So if you want to write a function, how do we write it? I just want you to understand in a high level, but we will come into the details later. So, so for the functions, so this plus means public. Void means it doesn't return anything. This is the name of the function, and this is a parameter for the function, hours. And this is the type of the parameter. So this is equivalent to C++, equivalent to the following. This is set time. So void set time is the same. Public, this is plus. Minus, this means private. Set time is the same as set time here. Hours is integer. We can write another parameter, so minutes of integer, and then seconds is of integer. So this is how the function is written. So here I am not asking you to memorize this because you will use Gen My model and it does those things automatically. What are the beauty of some UML applications? They can transform what you do visually into a code. So it gives you the class definition, like this one. It gives you this automatically, and then you start the implementation of the function or the coding of the function in C++. Finally, I don't expect you to memorize this. You will use Gen My model and or any other application you want, and you will be it will be generating this visually. I am just telling you how this class is being designed in UML. Later, you will design so many classes, and you will have the relationship between them. I guess I'll stop by this for now. Thank you for coming. Don't forget that you have to study. You have to study lecture by lecture because things will be heavier as we go. So have a good evening and see you on Thursday, inshallah. Have a good evening, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. Bye bye.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Doctor,
Yes, Ghada.
I have a question regarding the bonus sheet.
Okay.
اوكي، هو بالنسبة للبونص يعني انا مش